Welcome, welcome. So glad to have you all here. I think we have Justine. Are you here? She ran out for a second. Okay. We have some friends online. We have some friends in person. Eliana, text me if you guys are having any trouble. We have Eliana, my amazing colleague, supporting. She's joining remotely and she's going to make sure everybody's content there. And then Justine is going to be in here in the room helping too. So I hope everybody will leave here very satisfied. Please do take a look if you'd like to at some of the other sessions that my colleagues at World Ed have been presenting and will present throughout the remainder of the conference. World Education is a nonprofit organization, and we do a range of different projects in adult education, ranging from working on supporting IETs to integrating technology and all kinds of stuff. So when you get to that Padlet, you'll see different topics, and you can go and see who is presenting and what topic they're presenting from our team. You will also find, if you click on the AI topic in the Padlet, you'll find my materials there as well. So slides, as well as like some of the things I'll be mentioning. Yeah, that's this. worlded.me/, sorry. If you go there and click on AI, the topic, then you'll see all of our sessions related to AI, including this one where we have the materials there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. All right, Justine, I'm waiting for, oh, I've got a text from Eliana. You're not sharing your screen on Zoom. Well, there we go. That is exactly why I needed you, Eliana. Thank you. Now I am. So our friends online can see that. Oh, okay, Eliana. Let me make you host or co-host. Hi, Ted. How are ya? And guess what, you guys? Tad and Jason love me so much that they both sponsored this session. I think we got double sponsorship. So I'm going to give them both a chance to say something real quick. Tad, I have your slides. We'll start with Jason. You want to go ahead, Jason?
Sure. Yeah, and I'll skip the mic. It's nice.
Oh, that
Cozy room. Really? Oh, online. Okay, here we go. That doesn't exempt me from my reading glasses, though. Thanks so much, Rachel. Hi, I'm Jason Gard from Essential Education. I'm the Senior Blended Learning Specialist and Mid-Atlantic Sales Rep. And last year, you may have seen Essential Education at COABE when we gave away 1,200 or so copies of our retention guide, which was a result of a nationwide PLC. They went like hotcakes, and we had to print more just to give more away at other conferences. Well, we did another PLC, and this year we're giving away our Overcoming Adult Learning Challenges guide. If you don't already know Essential Education, our ABE HSE Academy is designed to deliver breakthroughs with the hardest to serve students, as well as MSGs and accelerated credentialing across the board for all students. Now, the new guide presents current research and activities and tools to boost engagement and uplift and empower every kind of learner that you work with. It's full of advice from practitioners like you, not just from a publisher necessarily. So it's really your peers giving you what is working for them. Now, this session is about innovative learning and essential education that really prides ourselves on disruptive innovations and listening to the field. So I hope that you will take a look at our ABE and HSE Academy. But if you haven't already gotten one of these guides, I have vouchers and happy to give some out to make sure everybody gets one. And we'd really love to hear from you at our booth about your adult educator challenges and give you all the training and support that we have to offer. Thank you, Rachel. I'll hand off the mic, and also I'll hand out some vouchers to anybody who wants.
Thank you. Raise your hand if you'd like a voucher. Thank you, Jason. And my dear friend Tad.
And I will be very, very brief because I know you want to get to the star. Engine is a proud sponsor of the Career Pathways track, and I'm really proud to be here. I think it's my 5th year at COABE. Slide. This image really helps to illustrate what Engine is. If you don't know, we are a bridge from ESL into workforce development programs, whether that's IETs, apprenticeships, workplace advancement opportunities. We use contextualized ESL. So whether it's English for certified healthcare environmental services technicians, very specific, English for welding, English for many different healthcare careers. I encourage you to stop by the Engine booth and grab our catalog to understand what types of courses and pathways can be accessed through Engine. Right? And I want to invite you, we've got some free PD coming up, a series throughout April around how to optimally use Engine in those workplace literacy. Bring this career pathway content into your classrooms, pre-apprenticeship opportunities. So please come learn about some innovations and also there'll be opportunities to share. And you're going to enjoy Rachel's presentation.
Thank you, Tad. Good to see you. Okay, so thank you for joining. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how we use AI to grow money, get rich, and live happy. So this is a bit of a trick, but I figured this is what we're on. No, April Fools. Okay, I did it. April Fools. We are talking about a framework to integrate AI into adult education. Thank you all so much for joining. My name is Rachel Riggs. I'm a technical advisor at World Education, where we have a range of projects around the globe where we're equipping educational systems and educators to integrate technology through our EdTech Center, along with a lot of other focus and practice areas that we have on our diverse team. Come on in. I saw you. Welcome, welcome. So good to meet you all. I actually wanted to see, Justine, I had 2 polls in Whova. Are you in Whova? Do you want to shout out what the responses to my 2 polls were? Oops. Okay. Lovely. So we're like almost about half split. Cool.
Hey, Rachel, would you mind passing the mic to Justine so we can hear online?
Oh, okay. Maybe I have to share the results. Let me look at Whova. Yeah, you can shut it. Yeah. Okay, so we have, what have you done with AI in your role? I'm able to see it. Oh, share poll results. Now you guys should be able to see it too. So it looks like mostly I've used AI tools for my job is what a lot of people selected. We have some people here who have trained others to use AI. I know who they are. Vi is an amazing teacher trainer. We have some people who said nothing. What's AI? Which is awesome. Welcome. And one person has responded that they've developed policy and best practices for AI use. Now, what I really want to establish here is that this is going to be a very collaborative session in which I'm going to actually introduce more questions than answers for all of us to grapple with together. So the first half of this will be me blah, blah, blahing about the framework, what's the background, and explaining the 6 dimensions of the framework. And the second half will be all of you contributing your knowledge, ideas, and questions within those 6 dimensions. So I'm glad that you're here and I'm excited to hear from your contributions.
Hi, Rachel. 2 things. The first thing is, can you just make
This
sure
is Eliana, by the way.
Hi, I'm Eliana. I'm online. Can you make sure that all the participants are muted who aren't you?
Yes. Yes.
We have some background noise. We also have a hand raised and some people who are saying that they can't see. I can see, so please let me know in the chat if you if you still can't. Okay, everybody is saying that they can see now, so I think that that was resolved. Please let me know in the chat if that is an issue that persists. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Eliana. Voice from the clouds. Okay, great. Glad that our friends online can see and hear. The first question I have for you all to respond to privately, and hopefully maybe even on a little piece of paper that you have, is why do you want to integrate AI in adult education? So I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. Any answer goes, because you're actually going to keep it to yourself and just make note. What is your motivation for learning more about this, for tackling this, for exploring it? What's driving you? Okay, that was your thinking time. Does anybody feel comfortable sharing their why? Does anybody want to share?
We get a bunch of 16 to 18-year-olds and older students. They already use AI every day. So if I can put it into the classrooms with them, it can help them more.
Thank you so much for sharing. Does anybody else want to share?
Yeah, thank you. So I do use it because we are the Queens Public Library, very diverse population that we serve. So for example, in a heterogeneous classroom, when we have different levels of students, I would like to tailor my one lesson to fit different levels of students' need. So that's what I do.
Yes.
I just think it's just really powerful, and we're a nonprofit where resources are really tight, and it just gives us leverage to do so much more with limited resources.
Awesome. Eliana, anyone online wanting to share their why?
There were a couple good whys. Christy said that she wants to give her students AI literacy so that they don't get left behind, thinking about this as an equity issue. And Kathy was really echoing that as it being a matter of making sure that we don't feel left behind as well as our students.
Phenomenal. Yes, someone in the back wants to share. I'll repeat it for you. Go ahead. Saves time. Helps me expand what I do in multiple areas. And I'll take one more. Yeah.
You're not going to like this one. Do I want to integrate AI?
Do you know that that's what I love? That's what I love. Because I want you to think about that, because I want everybody here to know that I'm actually not convincing you all to use AI, not in any way, shape, or form. And what I noticed about all of the whys is it's because of learners and learning, right? That's what we're all focused on. And, you know, there's a lot of hype around AI, and we're curious, and I think that's really natural, and it's good to explore those curiosities. And I think it's good to always stay centered on our mission, and our mission here is learners and learning. And so to what extent can AI, if I'm a nonprofit that's resource constrained, help me provide better learning to more learners? I think that's what we're all here for. So that's really what that's why I think it's worth talking about. That's why I think it's worth exploring some of the dimensions of AI integration together as a community. And I'm not here to tell you that it is useful to you. In fact, there may be settings or contexts or classrooms where AI is completely irrelevant and not useful. That is a possibility, and I certainly don't deny that. But we are here to think about, if we want better learning for more learners, is there something AI can do to drive us toward that goal? So you did it. Thank you for that helpful transition. I love when somebody gives me the transition. So a little bit about my background. I am a former ESOL educator in adult education. And I, around the time of the pandemic, became more of an EdTech specialist, teaching educators how to integrate technology strategically and thoughtfully, especially when we were all doing emergency remote teaching. And now at World Education, I lead what is known as our AI for Learning and Work initiative. So I work across various projects to see where there are opportunities to infuse AI literacy into learning or to support AI integration in learning environments. So I want to start with what I know about AI in adult education by facilitating learning circles with my fellow EdTech specialists and state leaders, by conducting teacher trainings, by doing my own research, all of the things that I know are currently happening, both in terms of how AI is being used and what tools are being used. So AI is or can be used across every learner touch point, we could call them. So starting from outreach and recruitment all the way to evaluation and transition, there are opportunities for AI integration. Welcome. I wonder if there are any more chairs that we could get any. There's a chair here, a chair here. You're wonderful. Yeah, I want everybody to sit because then they don't scoot out for a snack or something. No, just kidding. I don't want to trap you. I'm joking. Okay, so starting with outreach and recruitment. We know that some programs are finding it useful to use AI tools to develop, for example, social media campaigns in order to make them more effective, in order to translate them in multiple languages. Those are some of the ways that AI is being used to reach out to students. We do know that some programs are using AI to design logos and create other forms of media that they might put on a website or use in some kind of marketing materials, right? Translating is a big one. I said it already, but in all aspects of outreach and recruitment, we're seeing a lot of AI use to translate to reach more learners who might speak a range of different languages. And then in intake and placement, adaptive assessments have been in our field for a while now, pre the hype around generative AI. That was something that we used, and that is AI. So adaptive assessments are an example of AI use in our field. Developing surveys, intake surveys to understand learners' needs. People use AI to do that. Orientation videos. I wonder who was in that Synthesia session yesterday. So you remember somebody said they might create an avatar AI video for orientation because then they could produce it in multiple languages. And then they also have the ease of changing information more easily with AI tools. Teaching and learning was the big one, I would say. I said that's where a lot of focus is. And curriculum development being one of the big areas. I think somebody already mentioned that. Didn't you mention that? So using it to develop lesson plans, syllabi, quizzes, reading passages, all aspects of curriculum development, expanding access to content. So we're also seeing that AI is used not just to translate and in that way kind of give more language access, but also in terms of developing multimodal materials. So I have a text and I want my students to be able to listen to it. And there are a lot of AI tools that can help support that. And then adaptive learning platforms. If you know Duolingo, that is heavily infused and on the cutting edge of AI integration for learning. So that's one example of how that's built into adaptive learning platforms. Yes, please. In her daughter's high school, she lives in Mississippi.
The Spanish class is actually having them do the Duolingo to help them more learn the language. I think it's in the second year of Spanish that they're doing that.
That's really cool. Duolingo is, in my humble opinion, I think like one of the best ed tech companies in terms of how they disseminate their research, in terms of how they focus on learning outcomes and integration with assessments and things like that. So I always like to look to them as a really great example of, even though they're not so much embedded in classroom use, it's a great ed tech example. Okay, and then evaluation and transition. So if we think about, then evaluating students, getting them to the next level or getting them into the next step on their pathway, developing those evaluation plans, developing different protocol for evaluating programs, evaluating learners, and then analyzing data, being able to analyze learner data and support transitions. So these are some of the ways we know AI is being used. Now, what is being used? A lot, a lot of different tools. I certainly don't have them listed here, all of them, but these are some of the tools. So we have, let me move that Zoom thing so you guys, I see people taking pictures. We have a whole line missing. Okay, so we have some really general tools. I almost don't like to say that. They're not all purpose, but they're general open-ended use cases. And generally they give different stuff in very natural language in a lot of different genres, and generally they can produce very realistic images, also video and other forms of media. So those tools are probably very familiar to you. ChatGPT, if you're using Microsoft, you're using Copilot. If you're in Google, you might use Gemini. If you're in, Claude. If you're in a business that has purchased Claude, maybe use Claude. Pi is one that does socio-emotional chatbot conversation right now. Is that the idea? So those are kind of open-ended use case, generally chatbots. And then there's a bunch of teaching and learning tools. I kind of put them all lumped together here because some of them can be used for the teacher uses them. Some of them learners actually use, and it's kind of a gray area there. But some lesson planning tools, Magic School AI to develop a lot of different materials, Diffit to differentiate, Twee, I think for language learning, Brisk, also content and materials, Ludia to look at your lesson plans and give you tips on incorporating universal design for learning. It's kind of a fun one. I like that one. Engagement. These are really familiar. I mean, do you guys recognize these names? Yeah. So exactly. Yes. So generative AI is now infused into a lot of the typical tools that teachers are generally familiar with. And then we have these adaptive learning platforms and multimodal tools, like I was saying, that will kind of transform your content and present it in different ways. Then we have a lot of design tools like Canva's Magic Studio. They have a whole suite of generative AI features in Canva. Synthesia is an avatar video editing voice software. It's very expensive. Adobe Express. Justine, if you have any questions about Adobe Express, she's given a lot of trainings on that, but it is a free tool where you can use generative AI to do a lot of different design things. And then, productivity tools around maybe research, managing information, or managing tasks. These are some of those. So knowing that some of you are administrators, these might not apply to you, but maybe some of those productivity tools do. Notebook LM is a great one where you can take all of your content and put it into little notebooks. And then you can chat with your content and ask questions about, hey, these are all my IET lesson plans for my program. What's missing or what needs updated, kind of chat with your own materials in Notebook LM. It's probably one of my favorites.
Hi, Rachel.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off quickly. I think when you made that adjustment on screen, the bottom of our screens remotely got cut off.
Okay.
Justine said she's helping you out.
So that would be to know. Well, actually, I think if I chill on the mouse for a minute, maybe the toolbar will go away, which is what's blocking you guys.
Yeah, I'm wondering how we can get back to seeing the full screen.
Here. Is that it?
Well, now we're on a different slide.
Well, yes, that's right, but the toolbar is gone. Okay, so
Okay.
the only thing you guys were missing in the last one, Eliana, is my disclaimer that said I'm not endorsing the tools.
Thank you.
Okay. So just so everybody know, I'm not endorsing any of those tools. Oh, yeah. Not going there. So I would love to know, what about you? What are you using? How are you using it? We have a Padlet. We're going to be in the Padlet a lot today. If you need help or want to even buddy up on your use of the Padlet, I encourage you to do that. But it is also mobile friendly. So you should be able to do these tasks on a mobile phone. You know, not going to be as easy, but it's there. So this is the link, worlded.me/AIF, AI Integration Framework, COABE 2025. And what you can do once you get there is you're going to have these different tools on the right-hand side. I'm going to indicate that for the online folks. Different tools. And you grab this sticky note. It looks like a sticky note. And put it into the column that you're commenting on. So what AI tools do you use? What do you use AI for? And then I'm going to do something that is going to upset everybody, which is switching. But look what I did. Don't be mad. Oh, wait, it's not like the right size. Hold on. Yeah, this is a QR code. So if you want to access it there. Oh, it's chaotic. We've got a big group. I hate that I keep bumping this. So there's a QR code if anybody needs that. It's already full. Okay, that's why I made 3 cards. So go to the next card. There's a second and a third card. If that one gets full, just move right on. It is full. See? People are using AI a lot. Okay, someone uses all the LLMs. Different quizzes. Padlet. Okay, so you're going to put on the left what AI tools you use and on the right what you're using AI for. Magic School, ChatGPT, Screencastify, Canva, Gemini, Perplexity. Okay, I'm going to put the QR code down. Are we good on that? So I can see this. This may very well be what you gather most from today's session. It's just seeing what do people use and what are they using it for. That's usually what people want to know. Class Companion. I don't know what that is. Nice. Authorship. I don't know that one either. I'll be looking those up later. Oh, Grammarly authorship. I see. I see. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. So she just said Grammarly authorship is in beta mode right now. That's what that is. And then what do we use it for? Okay, so I'm seeing a lot over here. Research, EL Civics presentations, email, developing vocabulary definitions for students. Interesting. Ideation, collaboration ideas. I have a hunch we'll see lots of ideas. This big white sticky. I wonder what's up with that guy. Okay, so here we have Google Translate, ChatGPT, Suno. Let us know in the chat if Suno was you. What is that? Oh, Suno music generator. Cool, fun. Okay, and Gamma AI, that's a new one for me. Who put that? Presentations. Okay, cool. And what do you use it for? We see writing resumes targeted toward a new career after finishing IET, translations, engagement teaching, self-study, generating ideas. We're going to see that a lot, I think. Drafting essays. And then here we have Grok. Someone's using Grok. That is Elon Musk's AI on X. That's the name of it now. I've been watching that Twitter documentary. That's pretty good, by the way. And then what do we use it for? Content for presentations, building curriculum. Someone said to make my life easier, and I'm going to go into teacher tone here. Please be more specific. What's making your life more easier? And lesson planning, translating, language learning. making writing more concise, personalized conversation. Cool. So as we can see, there are a lot of AI tools, more every day, more in every way, a lot of different ways that people are using AI. And what I've heard a lot in my work is, now what? Right? So it's a flooded space with lots of different tools and a lot of different use cases. And now our challenge is to make sense of this in somewhat of a thoughtful, strategic, and systematic way. How does this actually plug into what we're doing? How does this actually promote better learning for more learners? And that's why we developed the AI integration framework. Thank you for sharing. Keep that Padlet link handy. We will be returning to that. But I now want to introduce you guys to the AI integration framework, which we developed, and truly it's more an adaptation of many existing frameworks. In order to address this question of, if I want to do a PD on AI, what are the topics? If I want to really think about or learn about and pursue my own learning around AI, what are the topics? If I want to write a policy or give guidance and put in some rules around the use of AI in my program, what should I be thinking about? And that's why we developed this framework, to help you guys know some of the questions that might lead you toward the answers to the bigger question, which is what now? So this framework, it was co-developed with some students from Harvard's Graduate School of Education. It's informed by other guidance and other literature that exists on AI. And it started really with tools, because that was the big question initially when ChatGPT came out and there was this huge flood of new tools. The question was, well, how do I know what tool to use? And so we had already tool evaluation criteria from prior research projects. So we were thinking, okay, well, we could develop some criteria around tools. The trick here is that this is not like typical software, and it really does require more of a human element and human awareness, skills, and knowledge to work with AI. So that's where we kind of broke away from all of that existing stuff and infused a human component into the framework, so that you can have not just things that you want to know about a certain tool or about the technology in general, but also considerations around what you as a human, what's your role, how do you help teachers integrate it, and so forth. So like I said, 6 dimensions, and each one includes some overall guiding questions. And then the questions break off into 2 columns, and we have questions that you can ask of or about a tool, and questions you can consider regarding your human capacity to leverage that tool effectively. There, at the end of each web page, are adult education scenarios to help you illustrate or understand what that kind of AI integration within that dimension might look like in an adult education setting. So our vision is that you might use this to spark discussion with your team, maybe to think about procurement and make sure you have the questions you want to ask to different vendors about AI tools, and really just use it in any way that it is useful. So I'm going to walk very quickly through the dimensions, and I'm going to give you guys a chance to jump into the webpage and look at everything. The first one is AI capabilities and learning goals. So AI is not perfect. I know you all know that, right? It has limitations. And so here we're really thinking about, what can it do? What can it do well to engage learners, extend learning, or enhance learning? And that kind of goes to this Venn diagram here, right? Where we have those things that we know promote learning, like contextualization and differentiation and personalization and all the Asians. And then we have what AI can do. And then somewhere in the middle, there's some overlap where AI can help promote learning. So we've been exploring this with teachers a lot in what we call generative AI maker spaces, and a training we do called Camp GPT. And we, are trying to kind of get to the point where in a training on AI tools, teachers are focused on developing material that is contextualized or is differentiated. Those are the unique things about AI, right? We have textbooks that give you just a plain old math problem. And we have websites that will give you 8,000 more of those. But what we usually are missing in adult education is that contextualization component to different workforce tracks or even to some of the real world tasks that learners are facing. And so we're trying to work with teachers to really explore what goes here. What is it? What is it that's special? Why should I use generative AI instead of the many other wonderful, less environmentally damaging tools and resources that I have at my disposal? Our second dimension is mitigating bias. So this goes to the fact that frontier models, which are large language models that underlie tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., they are mostly built from content on the internet. Content on the internet comes from mostly certain demographics, right? So the idea here is that not all AI models are going to be tailored and specialized to know what adult basic education is, what are the standards within it, what are the levels, and all of that nuanced stuff, as well as who are the learners, what are their backgrounds, what are their challenges, and so on. And so the idea here is that we as educators can play a role in our work with AI to complement those gaps that AI models have in them. So it's about combining our strengths and AI's limitations. And with educators, what we've focused on in that regard is thinking about input and output, right? Our prompt can help. And that's my human component where I give it more guidance as to what exactly I want. And looking at the output and evaluating that critically can also really help. So I remember I was generating an image of an adult learner, and this was the first thing I got. And this doesn't look like any of my adult learners. So I unpacked my adjectives, and I wanted my adult learner to also be using a phone, and I wanted him to be older, and I wanted him to be a man of color. And so I unpacked my adjectives and got something closer to the result that I was looking for. So evaluating the output and giving a better input being just one strategy of many that I would love to hear from you for mitigating bias when we're integrating AI. Ethics and data use. So this is really a question of what is responsible development, deployment, and use of AI. Again, we have questions for vendors, for AI developers in the framework. So thinking about what are the questions we would ask them related to ethics, and how can we use the tools responsibly? So there are many layers to AI ethics. I think some of the biggest concerns that are specific to generative AI, one is the environment. It requires a lot of natural resources to sustain generative AI in particular. Generative AI uses a lot more natural resources than typical tools that we use, like a Google search. And maybe you've seen that news article. This is an image of a data center, so you can kind of get a sense for not just the physical space, but all of the different materials that are used to sustain generative AI. So there's something about not generating AI waste, right? So just like we reuse and reduce and recycle plastic, we can think of that generative AI in that same way. Then there's learners' data, which is also critical. What do we know about the tool? What do we know about the company? And what do we know about where learners' data is going if we're promoting use of that tool? And intellectual property, which is another big, specifically generative AI issue. Where did all of this come from? You know, that's a problem, but not really one we can very well control. More so, what are we putting into it? And do we have ownership over that? Are we allowed to adapt that? Who are we sharing that with, et cetera? So there are some ethical questions there. Then there's ease of use. How can it be integrated in a way that benefits everyone? Here, I like to just think about the aspects of digital inclusion that have been, you know, we're pretty fluent on those in our field. And the three core aspects of digital inclusion that we talk about are devices, connectivity, and skills. And so we can apply that to AI as well. What are the devices that learners need? What connectivity do they need to use AI? And what are the skills, not just learners, teachers, and anyone in the program? Around along those lines, I think what we're most challenged by, oh my gosh, I keep hitting this thing, it's going to drive me crazy, is connectivity. Although there are offline large language models, I just don't think people use them a lot. And skills, AI literacy. What are the new skills, awareness, and knowledge that people need? Evidence of impact is the fifth dimension here. What is known and tested about integrating AI in this way? And that's still very new territory. We did a field test of a tool called Pace AI. So it's one way that we're trying to address it is by partnering with new companies and seeing how their tools work for adult learners. I think action research, teachers gathering information and really seeing what difference it's making, and even programs taking a look and evaluating what impact it's having is very important. And then finally, human oversight and over-reliance. So how do we ensure humans are involved in meaningful ways? What does human AI collaboration look like? If we once were writing an essay with paper and pencil, I never did that. I'm a millennial. Or if we had an AI agent write it and submit it for us. Or what if we're just using AI in the process in some way to help us draft something, right? So there's this whole spectrum. I think many times we think AI integration, we think one or the other, but there's this middle ground that I think is more akin to how people actually use AI. So good job, Rachel. Good timing. What time do we start? 2. And we have, yep, perfect. That's the right amount of time. Okay, so what I would love to hear is from all of you. What do you know? What ideas do you have? And what questions do you have? So we are going to get into the Padlet and really dive deep, have a lot of sharing and contribution on this. So what I will have you do, you're already in the Padlet, so I just want to jump over there and show you how this works. When we're on card 4, I've split it into 2 sections, administrators and teachers. So if you're an administrator, I would like you to choose from one of these dimensions. To do that, you just click on it. Oh, just kidding. Once upon a time, you clicked on it and it was linked to the card. Has somebody been in here deleting my links? Huh, what happened? Oh, maybe it's because I'm not signed in on this computer. So maybe those don't work when you're not signed in. Okay, that's fine. So the way that it is the first dimension is going to be the first card, okay? And I think administrators will go to the first one, and then teachers go to the second one. The second dimension is going to be card 7 for administrators, and then card 8. Guys, how should I do this? That's not going to work well. Let me put sticky notes on each one that tell you who it's for. And then I want you to go to the card, click on the link that will take you to the web page. Take a look at the questions you can ask about the tool, the questions you should consider, and the scenario at the bottom. Then go back to the Padlet. Tell us, what do you know related to that dimension of AI integration? What ideas do you have? And what questions did that bring up for you? Okay. I'm going to go through and label these so that you know where you are. And then we can get started. What questions do you have about the task I'm asking you to complete? Oh yeah, those sticky notes were supposed to link, but they're not working. Oh yes, so it's, yeah, where this picture is, if you look in the top right corner and click on that black little piece, that'll take you to the web page. And I'm just going to add labels here. Oh, thank you so much, whoever did that. Oh, you're lovely. Okay, yeah, so just put the name of the dimension there, Justine, while you're doing that. I'll start at the bottom. Okay, maybe I just, oh, I can't. Oh, I know. Oh, Oh, okay. You guys have to allow pop-ups on your screen for it to open up. Let me do this. Share, visitor permissions. Okay, I changed the permit. I don't know what happened there. Did everybody just lose access to it or just me? Okay, there we go. Yes, yes, yes. Let me put the QR code up again. Okay, there's the QR code. Justine is labeling each card. Okay. Oh, Padlet's frozen. Oh, lovely, lovely. Okay, so you can also go, let me show you how to navigate the actual site. Then we don't have to worry about Padlet that much. Okay, so if you go to workforceedtech.org and click on this tab in the menu that says AI Integration Framework, you'll be brought to this graphic. And if you're on a mobile phone, you'll just see these boxes. So you can click on a dimension from there. So I could click on evidence of impact, read through, and then navigate to other dimensions if you wanted. So workforceedtech.org. Oh, in the Padlet or like of the website. And then the AI integration framework. So look at that. Yeah, you see it. Oh no. Okay. That's funny. So read through one of those dimensions and then come back to the Padlet. I would say don't worry about being an admin or a teacher, but just come back to the Padlet and add some of your known statements or facts, some ideas, and some questions. I'm going to give you guys time to do that. If you're on your phone, I see some people writing on paper. Feel free to do that. We'll have a debrief all together, so you don't have to put things in the Padlet. Okay, Catalina. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't hearing you, so that's why I raised my hand. But I'm hearing you now,
Oh.
so I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay, thanks for letting me know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm seeing questions coming up. Keep them coming. Will we get access to this Padlet after the session? Was the question. Yeah? Yes. And the entire slide deck. That's right. Okay, so the slides will go in Hoova. They're not there yet, but after the session. And then you'll have the link to the Padlet, and I'll just leave it. I won't delete it from my account. So you'll be able to go back to that. Yeah, so go to Hoova in like an hour and find the slides and then get to the Padlet again, and you'll have slides and Padlet. Yeah, no problem. I also included, little on the slides, there are a few plus signs where we have other resources and reading. So you'll be able to click on those and explore more. Okay. Oh yeah, great. Thanks, Justine. My two, my two assistants who need it. I mean, I don't know if that makes me a good presenter or a terrible presenter that I have such a robust team of people smarter than me. Okay. Feel free to keep adding. Friends online, if you're still working, keep adding. I think where I'd like to begin is with the framework as a whole and whether any of these dimensions may have been new to anyone. Maybe there was some aspect of AI integration that you hadn't been considering. Or even within that, when you were looking at the web page, was there anything surprising or new for you?
I'm not talking. I'm here to bring it to you. So
The one thing about AI you forget is the resources or like the energy it takes to generate. And honestly, I don't think about that when I use it. And now it might be a little bit more of a thought. And did you also see where the guy said, stop requesting so many pictures yesterday? Because it's really exhausting them.
remaking images.
Some of the questions in the ethics and data use section I found like really specific and helpful because I hadn't thought about questions that specifically. And I'm realizing I don't have those kinds of answers yet. But now I know the kinds of questions I need to be asking as I think about using these things ethically and thinking about, you know, how do I need to inform my students and what do I want to help my students think about in terms of their own privacy online.
For me, I think it was more the evidence of impact because as a trainer and professional development person, I go and I was like, oh, look at this tool. You can use it and look what it does. But I don't follow up and go back on the data because I feel like, oh, that's the administrators. Sorry, administrators, your choice. But I think it's important, especially for if you're going to buy a license and use it, what kind of impact and does it actually reach down to the student and help their learning?
I just want to add one thing to that, which is around the saving time. That is something that's so important to teachers. And that is, such a selling point that we hear all the time about AI. And so I always encourage teachers to, once you're comfortable, of course, everything takes more time at the start, but once you're comfortable, really start to look at how much time you're spending in AI tools to get what you want. And is it saving you time? Is it truly helping you? I think many times it is. I'm not debunking it. I just think even at the level of a teacher generating materials, there are things to evaluate and things to really look for evidence of. Yeah.
So for our adult education, I'm from Sweetwater Adult Ed, we have adopted Magic School AI. So it's really great because we can see the data for the teacher use. But my problem is getting them to use it with the students because Magic School has the student facing side. And so I think teachers see the saving time. But then you have to have the teachers go, it's worth my time to actually teach the students AI to be able to use it like I do. And there's so much impact that way that I think teachers are like, I don't have time for that, and add all the curriculum I have to do within 2 hours, And so I think it's that fine line of like, okay, if you can see the benefit, why can't the students actually have the benefit as well?
Okay. I wonder, Eliana, if there's anything online and one of our friends would like to speak, I can give them that power.
Thank you, Rachel. I don't think that we have any reflections to share at this moment, but I'll definitely let you know if more is shared in a bit.
Thank you. I'm wondering if, so those were some of the dimensions that may have been newer to people or gave them a new way of thinking about things. And I wonder, within a specific dimension that you were looking at, what do you want to share something you know about that with the group? Or do you have an idea specific to how that might work in adult ed that you could share, or even a question that you'd like to pose? Yeah, we can run the mic, and I'm also just going to look at some things that people already added to the Padlet. So I'm seeing here, for example, a question. Okay, this was on mitigating biases, and some ideas are to slightly change the prompt in one AI and compare outputs to raise awareness. That's a great idea. Actually, there's a fun tool. It's called Chatbot Arena that does that at the language level, where you can actually look at the output from two different language models. And I think, prompt, like I was very bothered initially by that term prompt engineering. I was like, okay, whatever. We're educators, just call it prompt writing. That's what it is. But I, have definitely seen when we're talking about environmental impact, if I can add a sentence or an adjective to my prompt that's going to prevent me from having to generate another image, then that is one way that I can reduce AI waste. So I think that learning some prompting strategies, there are plenty out there. And I think it all comes down to details in your prompt and the structure of your prompt. But that can be not just a way to mitigate the bias of the output, but also a way to reduce AI waste. Let's see, compare. Yes, okay, that's a great idea. How is output decided on? Okay, so someone has a question about how is output decided on frequency, commercial interests, political agenda? And that's interesting, right? Because there's so many aspects that go into an AI model. So, it depends on kind of what you're looking at. Are you looking at the data that the model was trained on? Are you looking at the parameters that have been built into the model? Are you looking at the data that was cleaned out of the model? So I think there's a lot, even the user's own settings could be influencing that. So that's, yeah, I don't have the answer to that, but it's a great question to explore. Okay, looking for more we had here.
Rachel, I have a question
Yeah.
from the chat for you. Oh,
Yes, Eliana.
sorry, you looked away from the computer, so I didn't know you were talking to me.
I like hearing your voice in the class. Go ahead.
I'm a disembodied voice. There's a question from the chat. Alexander wanted to know, as a teacher, is there a specific category of the framework you would recommend? It is a lot of great information, but he's not sure where to start.
I would start with AI capabilities and learning goals. Just again, taking that learning first mindset. It's like what I think the first thing teachers need to experiment with and understand is what can the tool really do? Not just what do they say it's going to do, but really with my own experimentation, what have I found it can really do? And how does that relate to what I'm trying to do with learners? You can certainly generate anything using AI tools. You can generate a lot of stuff. But what you know as an educator is what kinds of materials are specifically effective for learning. So I think just diving that step deeper of like really thinking about what are the evidence-based strategies, what are my instructional routines, what works well for the individual learners I have in my class, and how does AI help with that in some way? I think that's a good place for teachers to start specifically.
Thanks very much, Rachel.
Yeah, Alexander, let me know in the chat if that didn't get to it for you.
I have a question which I didn't put, which I think I fits maybe most closely into ethics, but we have run across an occasional example at my college where an instructor is asking students to use AI and an AI will refuse. Or not an AI, sorry, a student will refuse. They said, I'm really uncomfortable with this technology. I don't want to be involved with the environmental impact or whatever it is. So I don't want to do this assignment.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's important. I think, even when I'm thinking back to mobile learning, when we were like smartphones. All learners have smartphones. Let's leverage smartphones in the classroom. And that is amazing. And a smartphone is basically an extension of my heart and my brain. So, there's a line there that shouldn't be crossed when I walk into a class just because I have my smartphone. I shouldn't have to download something unless it's learning related. But, there's just there's some nuances there that are important for learner autonomy. And I think that that's a really important consideration for learners. And what's the alternative? We didn't, this is all new. So certainly you have some version of that task that didn't use AI. So what can the learner do? And again, learning first. What is the skill you're trying to develop with the learner? And, if it's AI literacy, maybe there are other ways that they can learn more about AI, just reading videos and things like that without being so hands-on if they don't want to use it. There are also certain tools that you can introduce them to, offline tools that live on your device, that are private, that you have complete control over, open source tools, like things like that. So I think there's a lot to unpack there, but it's a really, really important consideration if a student doesn't want to use AI. Interesting to think about too, I think, in relation to what are the other things that we ask students to do that they don't want to do because of maybe their cultural background or their educational background and so forth. Yes.
Unfortunately, it's not only the students, also some teachers, they don't want to use the AI, even using the smart board. She's a leader instructor in Queens Public Library. She's always aligned with technology. She tried to encourage teachers to use even the smart board. They don't want to do it. That's so bad technology. Yes, technology.
Yes. Well, yes. That's important to think about.
So I was thinking that a good way to include to students the AI, it's the way that they don't realize that it's AI. Let's say in a software that it's translating, like Google Translate. Some students use it and they speak with the phone. It's not, hey, you are going to use AI. So it's just showing ways to do it better, or Duolingual or the software that you are saying, I think is AI, but you don't have really to teach them, this is AI, Chat GPT is very challenging to create the phrase or the prompt to have what you have. So something that it's out of our control now, but if it's in a software embedded, like I was thinking, I have a video in my orientation that I did it in YouTube, so the students can translate it different. I have never think that this is AI, but all the people that they go to my webpage and they want to see the orientation, there's a video in PowerPoint, but the ability to be translated. So they don't have any idea if it's AI either. I was not thinking that it's AI, but right now that you are saying, so it's embedded in an application, something that they don't have to create from nothing, because it's difficult for us create from zero. It's just embedded in the application and then it's going to be evolving.
Okay. Yes, and I want to point out one of the resources I shared is it's called AI Literacy Matters. It was linked on one of my slides here. And in that, there are many different pages that kind of address the different aspects of adult learners' lives, like financial literacy, workforce, education. And we've put in there some examples of the ways that AI shows up in your life, to your point of many times, our lives are really infused with AI. Our society is infused with AI. And we don't always connect it to the term AI. Yeah.
I have another question from the chat, Rachel.
Okay.
From Pamela, she asks, can AI mitigate its own environmental impact by recycling its own searches? Can it reuse parts of a similar search that have already been processed?
Reuse parts of a similar search. Okay. Trying to envision that. What we know is that AI collects a lot of data and it learns from that data. So what I could say is that it certainly in some way is recycling your input because it learns from that and improves based on that. So you know, in ChatGPT, for example, if I have custom instructions and I've written something in there that says like, use more emojis. Well, it in that way, use more emojis, it's recycling that for every output that it produces, if that makes sense. So it's applying that to every other chat, so I don't have to put it in the prompt. And then the thing is that it's not the prompt that is weighing down the AI, it's the output, it's the generation. So be more concise would be one way that we can help AI be more conservative in what it's generating. And, you know, it just thinking about, again, when do I really need to generate something? How long does it need to be? Could I chunk out a piece of the syllabus that I specifically needed help with and ask it just for that and tell it exactly how long I want that to be? But it's really the generation, that window of things that it's generating that is taxing.
It's also the type of search it does. So the difference between a quick search and a deep search. So the deeper the search, the more you pay for stuff, the more energy it will consume than a free one that you just do a quick search.
And I'll point you guys to some great resources on this. I listened to Tech Won't Save Us. That's a great podcast. There's one on this topic. I read Wired magazine, which is a very techy kind of publication, but you could certainly go there and find this topic and see a lot of great, that image of Google's data centers, that was from a Wired article that's linked in the slides as well. So yeah, very interesting. I love all this interest in environmental impacts. And I'm doing a lightning talk on that topic. I should shamelessly plug that now, I guess. Next Friday, not this coming Friday, but the next. Reach out to me if you're interested. Okay. Okay, so then there are some more in ethics around copyright and privacy. And someone said, can it be used in a private browsing window? It's not that. It's go into your settings and tell it not to gather your data. That's the most effective way to protect your own data, or opt for something that is offline and on your laptop and you're running on your laptop. Now that's very taxing for a laptop, but that is, if you're super concerned, that's one way to do it. Help students practice AI with, yeah, I love that idea. Help students practice using AI, or ask students what information they want to share with AI. I like to look at it too as like a, how much do they want their technology to know them? Some people want their tech to know them very well because it makes their life a little easier. Some people don't. So that should be another choice that they get to make. The copyright question is great, and we're huge advocates for open educational resources, which are resources that you do have the license to reuse and redistribute and adapt. And I would say it really depends on the copyright terms of whatever publisher put that material out, and the chatbot and the tool that you're using as well. So it's a really gray area, but yeah. Okay, and then we have admin. Okay, so we have here some statements and ideas, and some great questions here, but we're at time and I don't like to keep people after time. So if you still have questions, I'm happy to talk to you and discuss more. I thank you all for sharing your ideas. I think this was really helpful to me. Oh, thank you. I hope you found it interesting. And tomorrow, join us for the Tech Slam. It's really fun. Great session, Tech Jam. Reunion F tomorrow at 11:20. And email me and follow us on LinkedIn if you have any questions or you want to stay connected. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.